Who is Count Binface? The hottest question in the UK right now. Some call him a satirical political character, but Count Binface stands in UK elections against major politicians. And although he isn't always expected to win, in fact, ever expected to win, his humorous manifestos often contain witty observations about everyday life and politics. And now he's in the news like never before. Welcome to the English Right Now podcast. I'm British English teacher Roy, and joining me is my dear friend Rob. Hello.
Hello, Count Roy. How are you doing?
I wish I were a count. No.
You're sure you're not Count Binface, are you?
I'm positive. I'm absolutely positive.
Okay.
Count Binface. We need to talk about him and why he's in the news a little bit as well. You know, we're not going to take any political sides, but we're just going to state the facts. But for me, who is Count Binface?
Well, he's a kind of a satirical political character, isn't he? He's somebody who dresses up as a dustbin, basically, and stands in elections in the UK. Why? For a bit of fun, I guess.
Why not? I don't know if it's just... It is for fun, but I think there's a deeper meaning to it as well. So Count Binface, as you say, he's a comedian. I can't remember his real name, but that's not important right now. No. Count Binface is a comedian who dresses as an intergalactic space traveler who wears a bin on his head and calls himself Count Binface, and he is the leader of the planet something from the Recyclons. There's a whole backstory, but fundamentally, what's important, it's a comedian and it's very much a case of satire. Satire is humor that criticizes people, politics, or society by exaggerating or making fun of them.
And he makes politics fun, let's put it that way.
Yes, he does. I think, in some ways, Count Binface, you know, we're going to put him on the cover. I think he's... I think it's wonderful that this is out there because it's very representative in some way of the British sense of humor. You've only got to look at Boaty McBoatface. Do you remember that?
Yes, yeah. The competition they had to name that ship. It was an Arctic explorer ship, wasn't it? And they thought, wouldn't it be great? Let's ask the public to give it a name. You know, be something like the David Attenborough or the whatever.
It is called the Sir David Attenborough now, isn't it?
It is now, yes. But the most popular choice was Boaty
McBoatface. God. And I think there's a lesson there. Don't ask the public what you don't want them to potentially ruin. You know, it's. I think it was meant to be a bit of fun, and then but didn't they name some boat that comes off it, an explorer vessel that like goes into the water? They called that Boaty McBoatface, I think, just to kind of appease the public. But he's very much in that sort of zone. He was recently, I mean, he's run against Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak. He's run for London mayor. He doesn't really get many votes usually, but things may be about to change. I'm not sure what's going to happen this time. He doesn't normally get many votes, but he always says it's a moral victory.
Yes.
And he recently ran in the Makerfield by-election, where Andy Burnham ran. So he was a political candidate, and it was a person standing in an election, and he stood against Andy Burnham, who's potentially the next Prime Minister of the UK. And then you've got this wonderful picture of Andy Burnham with Count Binface on one side and a man dressed as a fox on the other, or a person dressed as a fox on the other. And it's like, that's British politics. And he only got 95 votes, Count Binface, as a candidate. But the thing was, he kind of made some points that were really intriguing. Like there was some very strong political points. He's got a manifesto. We'll talk about that in a moment. But he made some political points, like Andy Burnham was the mayor of a city, and he said, shouldn't the mayor see out the whole term? And instantly, he's got all these jokes, but suddenly you're like, oh, that's a political point to make me think.
Yeah, true. Yes, he does make you think. I mean, he also said things like he's going to guarantee reliable bin collections or something like that, isn't he? You're going to make sure your bins get emptied every week.
Well, he was, So,
Yeah.
so he has a manifesto, and a manifesto is a document outlining a political party's promises or policies, and he's got his own party, and some of them are nationalize Adele. He's going to nationalize Adele. Guarantee that 99p flakes, chocolate flakes, can no longer be more than 99p. He's going to build one affordable house, which is intriguing. Yeah, but that's intriguing because he also, there's this sort of idea that, well, that's one more than, and lots of other nationalized model railways and bring back CFAX and all these kind of things from the 90s and 80s. Brilliant. So it's kind of a joking thing, but at the same time, there are elements of attack because he's there. They interviewed him the other day. So why is he in the news right now? I mean, I'm happy to take this for you but why is he in the news right now?
Oh, well, because we've got a by-election coming up, which is kind of a mid-term election, a local election as well. It's not a national election. It's in one part of the UK called Clacton. The guy who holds the seat there at the moment is somebody called Nigel Farage, which somebody you may have heard of. Have you?
I'm not even going to joke and say who's he. The leader of Reform, connected with Brexit. We don't know. We've talked about Farage before. I call him Farage because it rhymes with garage, but his name is Farage or Farage. Yeah. I never know.
He's a very you could call him charismatic, maybe, but certainly a controversial MP. Anyway, there's some news
long
about
story
him. So
short,
he's decided to resign his seat and then go for another election, see if he gets re-elected. And Count Binface is going to stand up against him. Not many other politicians are they?
No. And this is the joy, isn't it? Because basically an election is the process of voting to choose political bodies or political leaders. And in this case, we have a by-election, which is when it's, as you say, is called for a reason. Maybe somebody dies, maybe somebody stands down, maybe something else happens. In this case, there's a lot of intrigue about it because Farage, I believe, is under investigation because of money received. And he says that he did nothing wrong and there is an investigation. And he feels, in his own words, that the attention needs to be, he needs to be judged in the public court, not by the establishment. So he decided to stand down, but then run for his own role.
Yes.
So effectively, he can show people that if he's re-elected, it's the people's court. And I don't know whether he predicted this would happen, but none of the other major political parties, like the Greens, the Conservatives, Labour, Liberal, none of them are running, which leaves just Farage against a man who dresses as a bin. And I think it's brilliant. I enjoy that kind of, because I think it's brilliant that we exist in this world where we're seeing a man take on a bin.
Yes, I know.
And
that's
British.
Why I think it's very British.
It is very British.
And I suppose we always like the underdog to win, don't we? So you could call that Count Binface is the underdog, the least likely winner.
Well, looking at latest polls, I'm not sure he is the underdog, to be honest. But never mind. But this is the thing. It's a fascinating thing because when Farage stood down and he said, all these allegations, he was saying the allegations were false, and we're not in a position to say whether they are or not because we don't know the full story. He stood down and he said it's a case of the people versus the establishment. So he was sort of saying, I represent the people and the establishment, but the establishment, like the traditional parties, are not there. So now it's the people versus the establishment, and there's certain people trying to say that Count Binface is the establishment, but it seems like, it's an intriguing kind of thing. But really, Binface is a parody of a politician. He's a humorous imitation of a person, but he's got some points on his manifesto.
Yeah, I don't
know what one of his key. Sorry,
no, you carry on.
I was going to say one of his key sort of selling points to the electorate is they said what are one of your key things, and he said, I'm not Farage, was it. I'm not Nigel Farage. That's what he said. And I think that's really intriguing because we stand now in a position where genuinely British politics could be shaken up by a man dressed as a bin.
Yes.
And it's quite absurd. It's all quite, it's extremely silly, but it's very humorous. And it's, and I really enjoy the fact that we are seeing this.
It'd been interesting one to watch, definitely been interesting to watch. And the other interesting thing is this a very British thing? Do other countries have eccentric people standing?
The people in the comments could answer that better than me.
Yeah.
But I think that this is the thing. He's become more of a celebrity overnight than he ever was before. I think what's really intriguing is the fact that Count Binface was known on social media, but he was a bit niche. People, voted 90, 100 votes for him. And now everybody's talking about him. So he's a public figure now. Someone who's well known and often appears in the media.
Yeah, definitely.
There's another party, isn't there? Another political party that's very similar to this in British politics.
Yeah, are you talking about the monster raving loony party?
Yeah. Founded by Screaming Lord Sutch, wasn't it?
Yes, who I had the pleasure of interviewing about 30 years ago when he was standing in an election where I was working at the time. He was a very eccentric guy, tall guy, wore a very sort of loud, bright suit. But his party, the Monster Raven Loony Party, been around a long time, standing in all different elections. Just, again, bit of fun, bit of silliness.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing, like within every element of humor, there's an element of kind of political satire that makes a point sometimes. And I think a lot of Binface's policies on in his manifesto, they're very tongue-in-cheek. Tongue-in-cheek basically means not meant to be taken seriously. It's humorous or ironic. But again, there are elements of, talking about capping the price of a Wigan kebab and capping the price of a 99p flake. Some of his policies, because there's that element of talking about the cost of living as well, isn't there?
Yes.
Building one affordable home. Is that an attack on the establishment?
There's a subtle message there, isn't there? That's basically it, isn't it? A very sort of, read between the lines. Actually, they're trying to say something. Yeah.
What we love about him as well. The thing is, I never knew him as a comedian. I'd never heard of him before. And now he's become iconic for wearing a bin on his head. And the other thing as well, it brings out a kind of lighter mood in politics. I think Rachel Reeves was asked whether or not she'd accepted the MP's Farage's resignation. And she said something basically like, of course I'm accepting it. Who am I to stop him arguing with a bin all summer? Something along that lines. And I think the British humor starts to come out in the sense of, in the face of something almost absurd. But it's, the constituency we're talking about, constituency is the geographical area represented by an elected politician. So the constituency is Clacton by Sea. Have you ever been?
Oh, many years ago. Yeah, it's a typical sort of old-fashioned English seaside town, a bit faded around the edges, but a lot of people have moved out from London and to live by the sea and live there. Yeah. It's not too far from London, is it? It's out in Essex. Yeah.
I've never been. I'm gonna avoid making a joke there, but I've never been. But Binface was asked about whether or not he's going to actively go door to door knocking during his campaign, and he said absolutely not, because do you know how hot it is just sitting here? And I thought, wonderful. He feels like a voice of truth somehow in that kind of way. But he's very deadpan. So a campaign, by the way, is the activities a candidate undertakes to persuade people to vote for them. I often tend to vote if people actually bother to knock on my door. I find a lot of people, they just drop these leaflets off, these flyers off.
That's right. Yeah. Assume you're going to do all the work and the sort of research and read about it. But I want someone to come to my door and tell me what they stand for.
My local MP, he did. I'm not saying I voted for him, but I will say that he came to my door and I was impressed. He was the only one that bothered to come to my door.
And of course, once a politician is elected, you expect them to, do what they promise, and you want to see them out and about, actively doing stuff in the community, don't you? Whether if Binface was to win, what he might do in Clacton, or whether that would be it.
Thing. I mean, this is the thing. He's already said that if he wins, he will see out his term. So, I mean, by-elections cost, I think I saw an estimate of £380,000. So this by-election costs £380,000, and there is a possibility that if Farage gets re-elected and the allegations are found to be true, he would potentially there would potentially be another by-election, which means that there would be another £380,000 of taxpayers' money. Whereas if Binface got in, he said he's going to run the full term, which I think is already saving money. And he's called it a needless election. And he's quite honest, but he's very deadpan, isn't he?
Deadpan, yes. Oh, yeah. So you think he's being really serious? Yeah.
I mean, we often say deadpan humor is showing humor without changing your facial expression or tone of voice. In Binface's Binface's case, he can't change his face.
No, it's a bin.
He can't see it. He's a bin. But he doesn't sort of change his tone of voice. He's like, oh no, I will nationalize Adele. And he's very quick-witted when people say something. Well, I don't like your snarky tone. He talks like this. He's brilliant. But he's basically mocking. Mock is to make fun of someone or something, often through imitation or, he's basically attacking the system. In a delightful way.
Well, let's face it, he might be a bin, but he's not talking rubbish, is he?
Talking
rubbish.
You've wasted your career not doing it and comedy, and you could be. Maybe you could be. Are you Binface? I didn't ask.
Yeah, well, maybe I should dress. I was thinking maybe I should dress up as something and stand in an election.
Knowing the British people, if Binface actually got elected, I could see other candidates popping up dressed as the kind of same, space explorers. I could see other Binface candidates coming in other places. I can actually see a little party growing out of this in a way.
Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if it was the law that you had to dress up as something if you wanted to stand in an election? Can you imagine?
Go on, Rob. What would you dress up as?
Oh, that's a good question. I'll come back to you on that one.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd dress up as a pirate, but I think that sounds more like a satirical attack on politics. Sneak attack. It wasn't meant to be. I just thought it'd be fun. But sooner or later. So I think whatever happens, Binface. I mean, there's all these images with him, like with the bat signal. I'm coming, Clacton, and come on, Nigel, and all this. And he's funny. I think he's very close to becoming iconic, very famous, recognizable, or symbolic of this kind of public push against traditional politics.
Yeah. It's definitely one to follow, I think, as this by-election approaches.
Well, I find it funny because originally Farage was the one that was saying he was the outsider, and now somebody else has become the outsider of him, and he's very much become sort of tied with the establishment. I find it very intriguing, but it's all very eccentric, isn't it? Unusual Definitely. And unconventional in a memorable way. But soon the people of Clacton will go to the ballot boxes. Ballot is the process of voting, or it can also be the paper used to cast the vote.
And
we're not going to say
they do this at a polling station, don't they?
Yeah, but we're not going to say who we think should win, or we're not going to encourage the people of Clacton because that would be A, unfair, and B, we're not wading into this political.
No.
Quagmire.
I have no opinions. Nigel Farage, a bin. No opinion.
But what a time! I mean, I said to somebody, it was an intriguing thing because he's now stood down. And effectively, Farage has got to fight off against a bin, a man dressed as a bin. And there are three possible scenarios. He walks away and concedes to a man dressed as a bin, which would not be ideal, because it looks like he wins the election, and then he becomes famous for being the person who beat a bin. Or the worst case for Farage would be he loses to a bin, a man dressed as a bin, and that no politician would want that in their minds, would they?
No.
At no point,
get the same votes. They have to run a sort of coalition of jointly run the seat or the council or something.
That would be amazing. Bin form. Reface. Oh, that sounds weird. But on that note, we've tried to maintain our political neutrality, and I think overall, it's not that. I'm more excited about the fact that something is shaking up politics, and this time it's a man who's funny and dressed as a bin.
Yeah. Do check him out.
Yeah, I think he's. Yeah, I nearly get my opinion. I'm not, but I think it's brilliant that politics is being, everything's getting a bit more exciting again and intriguing. And just
more fun.
We've been so serious for such a long time, and now here comes Count Binface to lead the revolution of fun.
And who knows? A few more years' time, he could be our prime minister.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past the British people at the moment. But on that note, if you want to support this podcast, please do check out down below. You could always buy a cup of tea for me or for my Rob. Oh, my Rob! I didn't know we'd married. Me or Rob. But thank you very much for joining us today, for watching us today talk about Count Binface. And Rob, it's been a pleasure.
As always. Thanks, Roy. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
See you in the next one, Rob. Bye.
Bye.